Good morning. Here's your MDI for the day. You can pause it for a couple of minutes, give yourself some time to figure it out. All right, so we got to figure out what x is, we have to figure out what y is. So in order to find out y, the first thing we have to do is we've got to figure out what x is. And the way that we can do that is we know that these are vertical angles, so they're congruent, which means that we can set up an equation like this. So 70 is equal to 2x, and then divide both sides by 2. So we know x is equal to 35. It's not 35 degrees, it's just x is equal to 35. And then all we have to do is just plug this in here. We know that these two angles right here, these lie on a straight line. So when we add 70 plus 2x plus y, we know that that has to equal 180 degrees. And the way that we figure this out, we have two variables here, but we already know what x is equal to. So if we just plug this in over here, we would have 70 plus 2 times 35 plus y is equal to 180. So if we do 70 plus 2 times 35 is 70 also. Plus y is equal to 180. 70 plus 70 is 140. Plus y equals 180. And from here you should just be able to do mental math. Y is equal to 40. And again, it's not 40 degrees. It's just, that's what y is equal to. So now it also says, so now we solve for x and y, and it also says to find the angle measures. Well, we know that this one is 70 degrees because these two are vertical angles. Okay? We also should be able to figure this one out without calculating x and y because we know that 70 plus this angle have to equal 180. So if we were just to humor me and do the math, you would have 2 times 35 plus 40. So 35 times 2 is 70 plus 40, that's equal to 110. So this angle over here is 110 degrees. I should put 2 because it's not congruent. So this angle is 110 degrees, this is 70 degrees, this is 70 degrees. All right, here's your lunch. Today's the 28th today? Go ahead and write this down in your notes. Pause the video if you need to. Okay. What would be the length of BC, this distance right here, if AC, this whole distance here, is 8 centimeters? So this part right here is our unknown. This part here is our whole thing. So when we add these two together, we should get this answer right here. So as mental math, I know that you guys can look at it and say, okay, well, I know that x has to be 6 because 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. Again, just like with the angles, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to set it up into an equation for those problems that are more difficult. So x is equal to 6. All right, take some time to pause if you need to, so you can get the section, the title, and the learning goal down. Today what we are focusing on is we want to be able to use the angle addition postulate and the segment addition postulate. They sound weird, but they're actually pretty easy. The segment addition postulate just says, if there's a point on segment AC, then the two segments add together. So this is segment AB, this is BC. Add together to give you the whole thing. So AB plus BC is equal to AC. That's all it means. The two pieces make up the whole. I would definitely write this in your notes, and I would definitely write this in your notes. If you need to pause, you can. So the angle addition postulate is very similar. It's saying if there's a point in the middle of an angle, and you have another ray coming out like this, you have two smaller angles created now. So you have angle AOC. You have this angle here, plus this angle here, that adds together to give you the whole angle. So the measure of angle AOB plus the measure of angle BOC equals the measure of angle AOC. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to solve for x. So this is telling us that the whole distance of SU is 45. So that means that this whole thing right here is 45. So what we have is we have one segment here and another segment here, and they together make up this 45. So basically, if we add the 5x minus 3 plus 7x, we get 45. And just like yesterday, we want to combine our like terms. So we have a 5x and a positive 7x, which gives us 12x. And the minus 3 is equal to 45. Then we just have to solve our equation. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. So 12x is equal to 48. Divide both sides by 12. And so x is equal to 4. Now, 4 does not tell us the length of either of the segments. It just tells us what x is equal to. If we wanted to find out what each of these shorter segments is equal to, we would just have to substitute 4 in for x here and 4 in for x here. So 5 times 4 minus 3, so 20 minus 3 is 17. So this segment right here is 17. And then if we just take 45 minus 17, we would get 28 over here, or 7 times 4 is 28. Same thing over here. Q is the midpoint of PR. We've talked about midpoint before. Hopefully you guys remember that. The midpoint means that this segment here and this segment here are exactly the same length. So if this is 6x minus 3 from here to here, that means that from here to here is also 6x minus 3. And we know that the whole distance is 9. So if we add these two segments together, what we get is 9. So if we do 6x minus 3 plus 6x, oh my goodness, why didn't you guys say something? Just kidding. 6 minus 3x, my mistake, I'm sorry. 6 minus 3x plus 6 minus 3x is equal to 9. So again, we want to combine our like terms. So we have our 6's that we can put together. And we have a negative 3 here and a negative 3 here, which is negative 6x equal to 9. And then we just solve our equation. So subtract 12, subtract 12. So negative 6x is equal to negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 6. So x is equal to 1/2. And again, this is not the length of the segment. This is just what x is equal to. On this one, we don't even necessarily need to sub this one back into here to figure out what the distance from Q to R is, or from P to Q. We know that this distance here is half of 9, and this distance here is half of 9 because that's the midpoint. And so we know that on this side, the length of QR is going to be 4.5, and we know that the length of PQ is also going to be 4.5. That's another way that you could solve this problem is if you know that this is the midpoint, if you take this distance and split it in half, you could say 6 minus 3x is equal to 4.5 and solve that equation, and you should get the same thing. You should get x is equal to 1/2. So on to the angle addition postulate. So take some time to pause and write these examples in your notes if you need to. All right. CE, this is ray CE right here, bisects this big angle right here. So when something is a bisector, remember that that means that it cuts it in half. So that means that this angle here and this angle here have the same measure. So anytime that something bisects something, right, you can put them equal to each other. So we don't know what the measure of the whole angle is, but because these two are congruent, we can say 9x plus 3 is equal to 13x minus 9. All right, now this is going to challenge some of you because we've got variables on both sides. So does anybody remember how to solve an equation with variables on both sides? Oh wait, I can't call on anybody because I can't see you. Davis. Just kidding. Okay, so the best way to do this is to get rid of your smaller variable first. So 9 is smaller than 13, so we're going to subtract 9x from both sides. All right, so 3 is equal to 4x minus 9. And now we just have a regular two-step equation. So we add 9 to both sides. 4x is equal to 12, and then just divide by 4. So x is equal to 3. Again, this is not the angle measure, okay? It's only what x is equal to. If we wanted to find out the angle measure, we would take this and substitute it back in up here for x. So we would do 9 times 3 plus 3, which is 27 plus 3. Which is 30, and because this is a bisector, we don't even have to do it with this one. If this side over here is 30 degrees, we know that this side over here should also be 30 degrees. And if you take 13 times 3, then you get 39 minus 9. Just to check our math, we get the right answer. All right, same thing with problem number 2. Let's scroll up so we can see the instructions on this one. Okay, this is telling us that the measure of angle A, B, D is a total of 100 degrees. So if we take this angle here and add this angle here, we should get 100 degrees. So we do 4x plus 2 plus 3x minus 7 is equal to 100. And really we don't need the parentheses, I just want you to see that we're adding one angle to another. So 4x plus 2 plus 3x minus 7 is equal to 100. Start by combining like terms, 4x plus 3x, so 7x, and then we have a positive 2 and a negative 7, which is minus 5, equals 100. So 7x minus 5, we're going to add the 5, add 5 on both sides. 7x is equal to 105, divide by 7, so x is equal to 15. And again, that's not the measure of the angle, that's just what x is equal. So if we wanted to find out what this measure is here and what this measure is here, we would just have to take this and plug it back in. So 4 times 15 plus 2, so 60 plus 2. So this one would be 62 degrees down here. And we know that these two add up to 100, so if we take 100 minus 62, we get 38, so we know that this one here should be 38 degrees. You guys should have the homework called Reasoning and Algebra Worksheet. Make sure you put this on your green sheet before you leave class. I will check this back when I get back.